listening to CaveRadioBroadcasting.com. The words and opinions you are about to hear are of the hosts and do not reflect the management of CaveRadioBroadcasting.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole. Today's Thursday, May 31st, year of our Lord 2018. You are listening to a Gen Pop Media production. Today we're going to talk about how the deep state and shadow government works through historical quotes. We're going to play the quotes game again. Yay, quotes game.
It's going to be a high-stakes game.
High-stakes quote game? Okay. But first of all, I need everybody to remember it's not down the conventional hole. It's down the rabbit hole. It's important not to carry someone else's mistakes forward, especially ours. Please don't take anything we say for gospel unless we're quoting the gospel. Information is out there. You just have to want to find it. Remember, there are no more secrets. Just ignorance.
That is true.
Very true. Right. So how's everybody doing? We got a full house today.
Full house. There's less oxygen
full house,
than normal.
Yeah.
Like
They're getting.
If you could be in here, it's a sauna.
It totally is.
You guys are in here.
It's 100 degrees in here.
All right, we are not pussy. We're not screwing around today. We're jumping into this. By the way, I've gotten too many. Will you guys get to the damn topic, please? All right, we'll do it. One clarification from last week. Q. A lot of people have asked about Q.
Yeah.
Look, we are not like holy followers of Q. I say one thing. Do not follow anybody. Q is a very interesting story that is unfolding, and we will keep following.
Yeah, you got to pay attention
to it. Yeah. And there's a lot of developments in Q, and the quotes game that we're going to play today is inspired a lot by Q, who is attempting to unhide the hidden government or the shadow government. So do you guys want to just jump right into this thing?
Well,
why not?
First, this is the quotes from the 401 book.
We will be doing quotes from that book. That is not a conspiracy. That book actually
No, that's
exists.
actual
We've
quotes.
debunked it.
But the quotes game.
All the paper inside is blank. But
so we've played the quotes game before for like $5 for a beer that
Yes.
never materialized.
Yes.
Things like, but we actually have.
I normally end up paying more to the winner than that, like a round.
Well, the winner doesn't ever show up. So
right, I remember the last winner got screwed.
yeah.
I don't know why it sticks in my mind like
this
that.
time the quotes game
from
is
the DCD.
high stakes. This is the DCD Labs grab bag prize.
Oh my.
Very cool stuff. So whoever wins gets a DCD Labs T-shirt. Can you see that?
Let's see it. I've seen it before.
Sweet.
That looks very cool.
But even cooler than the T-shirt is a hand-painted pinstripe panel by yours truly.
Nice.
All right.
Hold it up to the other camera.
Can you see it?
All right, David.
All right. So this is the prize,
the prize
for the quotes game, so everyone can take it seriously. Now, if I win, I get my stuff back, apparently.
Dave D, will you do me a favor and keep score today?
Oh, okay.
For you people that are new, we ask a question from history. We throw out multiple choices. You guess who it is, you get a point. Some questions are 2 points. I'll explain those as we go. I think that's about it. Or anything else we need to know? Oh, one thing. If you guys have heard a quote on the show before, keep it to yourself for now, because we've got some new players. Right. Jay, you're playing as well, correct?
Yes, sir. I'll
play along at home. Someday soon, we will figure out how to get the audience to participate.
Yeah, we will.
But first, we got to get our fax machine working, so we're still catching up to the curve here.
Yeah.
The fax machine is catching up.
All right,
to
let's
the
just
curve.
jump into it, and we're going to start off kind of with an easy one. And I will. Last time we played, Howard wiped you guys out. He was all net from the arc all day long.
Howard got lucky, I believe, as well.
It's hard to get lucky like 12
There
times
is
in
no
a
such
row.
thing as luck. But
There is.
anyway.
Or coincidence.
I will say this. After this, I will tell you how Howard's going to do right after the answers to this very first quote come out.
Okay.
Okay?
It'll be back to normal.
Because I don't know who I'm betting on yet. Okay, here's the quote from history. This one's just to get us started. Then we're going to get into some stuff that will make your jaw drop. Literally.
Counting on it.
Okay. This quote appeared in The Anatomy of a Great Deception. The quote is, "A man should search for what is, not what he believes should be." This was either by Khalil Gibran, and if anyone doesn't know who someone is, just ask me. Oliver Wendell Holmes, Sir Francis Bacon, or Albert Einstein. Let's start with you, Teresa, and let's enforce this 5-second rule.
Yeah, you either know it or you don't,
now
right?
you have 2 seconds.
All right, I'll just say Albert Einstein because I really don't
Okay, she's going Einst. So we got, make sure we know these.
Holmes. What were the first two names again?
Khalil Gibran and Oliver Wendell Holmes.
I'll go Holmes.
Bacon.
So Howard says
Dave?
Bacon. I say Einstein.
Okay,
And Tony, what was Tony's guess?
Holmes.
Holmes.
my prediction about Howard is he's going to have a rough afternoon. In fact, I wrote, this one was made specifically to get in Howard's head so he doesn't blow you guys out like
Nice.
last time. If he
Nice.
gets this one right, I'm predicting a Howard victory.
Because
The
there was
answer-
none of the above, right?
It was Albert Einstein.
All right. So one for Miss Teresa and one for me.
Okay, next quote. It is man's peculiar duty to love even those who wrong him. Is this God talking to Job, Marcus Aurelius, the Caesar, writing in his memoirs, Virgil writing in the Aeneid, or Paul talking to his Roman prison guard just before execution? It is a man's peculiar duty to love even those who wrong him. God talking to Job, Marcus Aurelius, Virgil, or Paul talking to prison guard. Tony, you go first. And by the way, you look like you're defusing a bomb on the bomb
Sweating.
squad.
Sweating.
You're going with Paul?
So
I
you're-
will go with Paul.
Okay. Jay?
Yes.
I'll go with Marcus Aurelius.
Okay.
Got to go Paul.
Okay.
Howard, Paul, and my turn.
I'll let it, yeah.
I say Marcus Aurelius.
It was Marcus Aurelius.
What was Teresa's guess?
I was going to say Paul.
Shut. Oh, honest. You're so honest. Give her a half point. So if this ties.
Oh, we
then
got
I'm
we got
sorry.
cat rules in effect. We got the cat.
Okay,
rules.
so it was Marcus Aurelius. So that's one for Jay and one for me.
That's right.
So the backstory out of the 401 book, Marcus Aurelius, he was the last so-called of the five good emperors. He was portrayed by, who's the old English actor in the movie Gladiator? His son was Commodus. His son did fight in the arena for real. He didn't die in the arena, though. He was a practitioner of Stoicism. And what's really interesting about him, and one of the reasons I included this was written in 180 A.D. His writings as he progressed over his career. Now remember, this is 120 or so years after Jesus Christ. The word of mouth was now spreading. I believe by now Christians are being persecuted in the Colosseum. And he went from talking about multiple gods that he praised, that we would call them the demonic gods, to talking about one creator God and his son, a savior. Very interesting for a Roman emperor. God can even get to people like presidents. Next question. What's the score so far? Anyone?
So Teresa 1.5,
Oh, hey.
She's in the
half a
lead.
charity point. Jay 1, me 2.
Okay. Next quote. We'll have two more to loosen us up, and then we'll get deep. Yield not to evils, but attack all the more boldly. Is this God talking to Job, Marcus Aurelius' memoirs, Virgil, or Paul writing in the book of writing to the Ephesians? Jay, you're up.
I'm going to go Paul to the Ephesians.
So Jay says Paul.
Yield not to evils, but attack all the more boldly.
Paul to the Ephesians.
So Howard says Paul. My turn?
Mm-hmm.
I say Virgil. Not Virgil, Ted DiBiase Virgil, right?
Or Paul. I'm going to go Virgil.
You need to get up to your mic.
I'm going to say Virgil. Sorry.
Tony Ellis, what do you got?
I'll go Paul.
Tony says Paul. So we got Virgil, Paul, Virgil.
Correct.
The right answer was Virgil.
All right.
This was in the Aeneid. Now, this was 20 BC.
That's not Paul to the Ephesians because that would
Interesting.
be
I just
incorrectly
gave you two seemingly
translated.
biblical quotes, not from the Bible, but from great thinkers of the day, almost ahead of
Yeah.
their curve. And if you've heard me say this before, we sometimes say this is an Ephesians 5:11 operation. And that's why I put that quote in there. So what is Ephesians 5:11? It basically says, do not participate in the unfruitful deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. and that is the, I guess you could call it the particular calling of this show, at least for me, but I think we're probably all agree on that. It is not an easy road to hoe, folks. We do not do this for fun, I swear. Does not help with our social life, but what's at the bottom of this rabbit hole, literally, and I'm not trying to sound grandiose here, literally could be soul-saving. Yeah, so it is not fun to walk around with the label
Do you want
of a
the direct,
conspiracy
the
theorist.
direct quote from the NIV?
Sure.
Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them.
Yeah.
Word for word.
I like that.
Okay, next question. Sarah, there's a government inside the government, and I don't control it. This is a two-part question. You can get 2 points for each part of this. So the first part of it is who said it. Now, this was a president. Was it either President Clinton, Carter, Reagan, or Nixon? And for the bonus point, which of the 4 presidents I just named never claimed to have seen a UFO? This question was in relation to a president making a promise to the people that he was going to uncover the UFO files. And when he tried to do it, he was stopped. Sarah, and I forgot her last name momentarily, who was a White House staff reporter, asked one of these presidents that question. This is Sarah McClendon, senior White House reporter. She was following up on this president about UFO disclosure, and the president said there is a government inside. This is the president talking. There is a government inside the government, and I don't control it. So we're starting you with Howard. What president was that?
Clinton.
Howard says Clinton.
And
I don't know. What
which
was
of the
second?
4 never saw a UFO?
Say the 4 again.
Carter, Reagan, Clinton, Nixon.
Nixon.
So Clinton, Nixon. My turn?
Yep.
I'm going to say Clinton said that. And I'm going to say Carter never saw a UFO.
Okay. Teresa?
I would say Clinton said that, and I know Reagan and Nixon had discussed UFOs, so, and I thought Jimmy Carter did, but I don't know. I would have to say, I guess, Carter.
Carter.
So, Clinton Carter.
Got it.
Tony?
Same. Clinton Carter.
I have to agree. I'd say Clinton Carter.
You guys are no fun.
Are we ready for the answer?
Yeah.
Bill Clinton did say it.
Clinton said it. So this is a 1 point, 1 point, 2 point
1
question?
point
Okay.
for whoever got that. Howard hit a 2-pointer on this one, all net, because the president that at least I could never find that publicly admitted it, shied away from it constantly, was Nixon. Damn. However, the other 3 have very public, very frequent stories of their UFO event. Presidents of the United States.
So Howard got 2.
And I should get an extra half point for saying it with confidence.
Is that how we're working it now?
Well, it must be cat rules. He's giving out half points already.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready?
So everyone got 1. Howard got 2.
Next quote. This comes from chapter 34 of the book, Keeping People Quiet. The quote reads, I've been warned by many that an outspoken course, even if it be solely of truth, will bring down upon my head ruthless retaliation, that efforts will be made to destroy public faith in the integrity of my views, not by force or just argument, but by the application of the false methods of propaganda. This was either Donald Trump, John F. Kennedy, FBI whistleblower Dan Smoot, or General Douglas MacArthur.
Who's first?
You are.
You are.
I am. I say JFK.
Teresa?
Smooth.
Smoot.
Smooth.
I could have
JFK
recalled
also.
something.
JFK?
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta go JFK.
And
4 names again.
Trump, Kennedy, Dan Smoot, Douglas MacArthur.
MacArthur.
I would say definitely not Trump because he does not.
Yeah,
talk
Trump
like that.
wouldn't. No,
Those are big words,
no,
man.
yeah, those are big words, and there was no make it.
But do you see
There's
that
no
it is
best.
happening to Trump?
Oh yeah,
Oh, it definitely
Yeah.
is.
It's
Yeah.
happening.
Now, this quote was from 1951,
Oh, so it was McCarthy.
talking about a media that would cremate you if you stood up against
In the
shadow
50s.
government.
In the 50s.
50s.
And this was General Douglas MacArthur. This was, I think at the time, the highest
Someone's
ranking
catching fire.
general.
So Howard got it right.
They threatened
Nice.
a general. But don't be excited because 12 years later they would assassinate a president.
Yeah.
So, but understand who we are up against. Very powerful people. What's the score here?
The score is Teresa 3.5, Tony 1, Jay's got 2, Howard's got 3, and I have 4.
Okay.
I want me some DCD lab stuff.
I'm telling you.
All of these, by the way, are cited. These are not quotes just yanked off the, oh, that one sounds good, I'll just put it in there. Like, I went, found them with my own eyes. These are primary sources. In some cases, secondary sources, like for a deathbed confession, perhaps. And this was out of Douglas MacArthur's book. He was quoted in a book by Joseph McCarthy called McCarthyism, The Fight for America. He made the quote in 1951,
But these-
published in 1950.
Yeah, these quotes have been exhaustively.
Yeah, just for credibility's sake, how long did you
Researched.
spend vetting this book?
It took me the better part of 2 years, almost
Yeah.
full time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some quotes, like there's a quote by John F. Kennedy that goes, "There's a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child, and I must use this office to, announce."
Yeah.
And it's all over the internet. I loved the quote for a long time, and I went looking. I mean, everywhere. JFK archives, Kennedy Library, old newspaper articles, could not find it. Now, do I believe he said it? I do, because it started to appear in print in the early 70s, but I could not find a primary source on it, hence I removed it.
Like a Mandela effect, do you think?
No.
No.
That's
We debunked that.
I just
on our-
think
Yeah,
it
it's
is
kinda debunked.
Yeah.
some of those. There's information that's been pulled out not through time travel, but just by people going to the Library of Congress and doing some funny things. Okay, moving on. Are we ready?
Ready.
Ready?
There today exists, uncontrolled, in the hands of a set of men, a power to make dollars from nothing. There today exists, uncontrolled, in the hands of a set of men, a power to make dollars from nothing. It might not sound like much. That's the cornerstone of our privately owned Federal Reserve Bank. So the question is, what decade was this said? Was this either the 1900s, the 1910s, the 1920s, or the 1960s? And Teresa, you're up.
I would say the 1920s, when the whole issue with the financial and the Federal
Reserve
fell
Act.
out.
Okay.
So you say 1920s.
20s.
Tony?
Tens.
Tony says 10s.
I say 1900s.
1900.
We go 20s.
Howard says 20s. I say 10s as well.
Jay got lucky on this one,
Oh,
I think.
No, there's no. That's silly.
It-
No.
Okay, so this quote was made in 1905. So why is
Before
this?
the Federal Reserve?
Pardon me?
Before the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
Before.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
Now this is important because the Federal Reserve didn't just take everything over in 1913. 1913 was a massive battle. Getting off the gold standard in the 1970s was, maybe the final clincher. But as early as George Washington's time, he's giving warnings about giving away our right as a country to print our own money. This is one of the main reasons we left the royalty of England, because they were backed by these very same money powers that we just gave our power back to in 1913. So they've been moving along all the way. They were establishing banks here and there. But in 1905, there was the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Now that bank was able to print its own money. There weren't the other 11 Federal Reserve banks in the system that would go live in 1913. An event that was red carpet opened up, let's say, when the Titanic sank, and you had 3 critical voters, including David Astor, who wasn't there to block the fact that the U.S. government was about to give away all of our printing of currency. So it went from the biggest bank in New York. Now, this was by a man named Thomas Larson. He was like a Bernie Madoff of the day, like well-known financier, and he was already freaking out about the situation 8 years before the Federal Reserve Act passed. So it's not like this wasn't on our radar screen. But when you control the media, you control the people.
So basically, it was already in process. It was going to happen. They just made it official.
Well, the fact that we had paper money to begin with was a problem. These guys, they were warning us about that in the 1700s.
Right. And it'd be interesting to find out if that first Federal Reserve Bank of New York, which is now the linchpin in the U.S. central bank system, which is linked to all the other central banks of the world, except for
Cuba.
North Korea, Iran, Cuba. And the funny thing is, who are we in a state of agitation? We're not at war anymore with Libya or Iraq or Syria. Syria, maybe not. These are countries that we needed a reason to get into their nation in order to flip their banking system over, which conveniently 9/11 provided the reason for us to be there. All right.
So do I get 1.5 points for your lack of faith?
No,
in
I
me?
was gonna say
Wow.
0.5.
That's pretty good.
Actually, you can steal the half a point.
Right.
There's no welfare here.
Okay, next quote. We ready?
Ready.
The study of money above all other fields in economics is one in which complexity is used to disguise truth or to evade truth, not to reveal it. Okay, so this was either Robert Hemphill, a Federal Reserve chairman out of the Atlanta office. This was Gerald McGeer, Canadian politician, economist. This was J.K. or Ken Galbraith, another Canadian diplomat and economist, or Louis T. McFadden, who was chair of the U.S. Congress, the House Committee on Banking and Currency. You want me to reread it again?
I think
One more
The
time.
study of money above all other fields in economics is one in which complexity is used to disguise truth or to evade truth, not to reveal it.
And then the names.
Hemphill, McGeer, Galbraith,
And McFadden.
and Louis T. McFadden. And all these names we mentioned, they may be unfamiliar to you. And again, use your own eyes. Look them up. See what they have to say. See what your heart feels about it.
I would say McFadden.
Okay? Tony?
I'm going to say the same, just because it's the only name that sounds cool.
Okay.
It's fair. It's a good enough reason. Jay.
What was the last one?
McFadden.
McFadden.
He was a congressional.
All right, stir it up, Howard. Your turn.
Hemphill.
Hemphill.
He's got a different take.
And I'm going to have to go
He's
with
got the hemp.
Yeah, the Canadian ones I didn't think.
I'm going to go with McFadden also.
Yeah.
Okay, the correct answer was Galbraith.
Oh, it was a Canadian. Okay.
Longtime Harvard faculty member.
Big goose egg for everyone.
Yep.
He goes
Yeah, but I
on-
at least got a Canadian, so I should get 0.5, right?
Yeah.
You should get taken 0.5 off for even picking Canada for any reason.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, Canada.
This was in a 1975 tutorial.
Harsh, eh?
That's harsh. Hey, terrible. That was racist.
They
by
gave
the
us
way.
Ryan Reynolds, man.
No, I like Ryan Reynolds, but he defected. He's in Hollywood now. So
That's true.
Not everyone in Hollywood is a bad guy. I mean,
right.
God's got people out there.
Well, I mean, I'm forgiving him for being Canadian. It's not his fault.
Oh. That's why he was dating Alanis Morissette.
Mm-hmm.
She's Canadian.
Did he dated
yeah,
Alanis
that's so
Morissette?
gross.
Oh, yeah.
I think
How long
she wrote
ago?
some like hate songs about him.
How long
Way
ago
back
was
in
that?
the day.
I don't know.
Way
Maybe
back.
Well, it
in the
matters
early
because
2000s.
Anyway, I have my reasons.
From Galbraith's, this is a 1975 tutorial. It's called Money, Whence It Came, Where It Went. And this quote is from page 4. And he goes on to say, those who talk of money and teach about it and make their living by it gain prestige, esteem, and a pecuniary return, as does a doctor or a witch doctor, from cultivating the belief that they are in a privileged association with the occult or hidden things.
Luciferians.
That they have insights that are now available, that are not available to the ordinary person. Though professionally rewarding and personally profitable, this too is a well-established form of fraud. There is nothing about money that cannot be understood by the person of reasonable curiosity, diligence, and intelligence. And we did a little breakdown ourselves on a past show, which you can find on Gen Pop Media or our YouTube page, of how the Federal Reserve works. And I think we showed in 55 years how long it would take to take over a nation. And we are over 100 years now under Federal Reserve. And the warnings have been given.
Well, I mean, normal fake money isn't fake enough, so now we have cryptocurrencies to go ahead and step in and make it super duper fake.
Okay, we ready?
I'm ready.
There's a lot of controversy over why was Lincoln killed. Kind of the same kind of controversy over why was John F. Kennedy killed. Here's a quote from a newspaper. Abraham Lincoln, the martyred emancipator of the slaves, was assassinated through the machinations of a group representative of the international bankers. Remember that term. Through the machinations of a group representative of the international bankers who feared the United States president's national credit ambitions. Basically, this is someone saying Lincoln was killed because he was trying to fix or repair our national credit and currency situation. Very much tied to his quote, I have two armies, the Southern Army in front of me and the bankers in the rear. And he was more afraid of the bankers.
Yeah.
Who's going first here? Your choices are...
Might as well keep the same rotation.
Same as last time.
It's easier. That's how I have it written on the
That's
paper,
fine.
so, yeah.
We'll just start with Teresa every time. So
it's
this
better.
was either Robert Hemphill. This was Gerald McGeer, J.K. Galbraith, or Lewis T. McFadden.
Oh, the same ones? Oh, wow.
Same choices, really?
I'm going to have to just pick the first. I'll just pick Hemphill because I'm not sure,
Okay.
to tell you the truth.
I'm going to go with McFadden because his name is cooler.
He still likes it.
This is like deja vu.
Loves that
We're
name.
doing the last question over again. Jay.
Let's just get crazy and go with Galbraith.
That's crazy, my friend.
That is way crazy.
You're
I'm going to
stepping
stick
out.
with Hemphill because I'll never forgive myself if it's him.
Yeah, I'm rolling the dice on mine.
All right, and you know what? I'm going to...
Come on. It's good over here.
Yeah, you know, I'll go
Jump on
with Hemphill,
board.
too.
There you go.
Hemphill, too.
All your friends are doing it. You know you want to.
Yeah.
This was in an article written by Gerald McGeer. He was in the Canadian House of Parliament. The article came out in 1934.
That's the only one none of us picked, right?
I know.
It is. It was in the Vancouver Daily on May 2nd, 1934. So in 1934, there are people in positions of power saying, well, Lincoln was killed by the money powers, trying to combat the lone gunman wacko MO, which they
Right.
still play on us.
They still
to
use
this
that
day.
same...
They're not original.
They don't really
but
need to be.
Why do they need to be?
Yeah.
We keep falling for the same trick.
Best color man in the business.
Exactly. Okay, next quote. Are we ready?
Is it warm in here?
It is 100
Just
degrees in
a
here.
little. Yeah.
I passed
Yeah.
out 3 times.
But he's like over there
We will
resuscitating
be taking a break
himself.
just to
We,
step out into the 90-degree sun.
can't-
Yeah, I'm
Law.
not sweating because of the question.
We're going to go outside to cool off.
Yeah, we contacted management and got the... It's not my job.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
we
all
ready
right.
for the next quote?
Yeah.
Here it is. Nothing can now be believed which is seen in a newspaper. Truth itself becomes suspicious by being put into that polluted vehicle. The real extent of this state of misinformation is known only to those who are in situations to confront facts within their knowledge with the lies of the day. I really look with commiseration over the great body of my fellow citizens who, reading newspapers, live and die in the belief that they have known something of what has been passing in the world in their time. This was either
Good quote.
John F. Hyland, the mayor of New York City in the 1920s, President Thomas Jefferson, Charles August Lindbergh. This is the father of the famous aviator, and the father of the famous aviator was a congressman, very much opposed to the Federal Reserve Act, by the way. Or this was President Woodrow Wilson. Nothing can now be believed which is seen in a newspaper. Hyland, Jefferson, Lindbergh.
Wilson. Woodrow Wilson.
Highland.
Tony says Highland.
I know it wasn't a choice, but I'm going to go Jackson. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to go Wilson.
Howard.
Thomas Jefferson.
And I also say Jefferson.
Oh.
Because it is Thomas Jefferson.
One bonus point if you can tell me the year he said it.
Oh, boy. The year or the...
The year.
1782.
I say 87.
1807.
Ah, that's okay.
That's when I should say it was out
Dave was closer.
in...
That's okay. I'm not into welfare
Prince.
points. So Howard and I.
Yeah.
This was in... You can find this in The Works of Thomas Jefferson, Volume 10. It's a 12-volume series. Great read if you're just sitting around.
What was the year of that again?
1807.
The quote
Okay.
was in a letter to John Norville on June 14th, 1807.
So 1807.
In 1807...
Already talking like tin hat conspiracy theories.
Someone's already in
They
control.
barely started circulating.
I don't even think they
newspapers
had.
at
They didn't
that
have
point.
aluminum foil back then. It's what they make their hats out of.
Yeah.
Think
It was
about this.
pounded tin.
Pounded tin. Okay. Yeah, iron.
1807. Someone's already in control of the media in 1807.
Yeah.
And if you go back another 1800 years, you've got Satan on a mountain showing the world to Jesus Christ, saying, "I'll give it to you if you kneel at my feet." He was in charge back then. Do you
Yeah.
think he lost control over 1600 years and then suddenly decided to resurface after partying for 1,000?
No, because
No.
the thing to understand about that's important is that he was literally giving Jesus the chance to skip the cross.
Yes.
Is what was going on
And
there.
we would have been screwed if that would have
Absolutely.
happened. Okay, we ready?
Ready.
Question, Teresa?
Okay.
No, did you have a question?
No.
You just felt like you had that. I have something to say.
Oh, well, I
face.
always have something to say, but.
Here's the quote. Every effort has been made by the Federal Reserve Board to conceal its powers. But the truth is, the Fed has usurped the government. It controls everything here in Congress, and it controls all our foreign relations. It makes and breaks governments at will. When the Fed was passed, the people of the United States did not perceive that a world system was being set up here, a superstate controlled by international bankers and international industrialists acting together to enslave the world for their own pleasure? Enslave the world, really? This was Louis T. McFadden, Charles Lindbergh, Woodrow Wilson, or Ron Paul?
Ooh.
Teresa?
Interesting insertion there.
Yeah, so.
And if there's someone you don't know, we already covered all these guys.
Well, I won't hold you up, and I'll just say Ron Paul.
Paul?
Because you threw that in there.
I'm going to say Ron Paul also, although his name's not as cool as.
Yeah,
Pretty cool, though.
I'm going to say, just for the simple fact, like, that sounds like, I'm going to go Lindbergh.
Lindbergh. Howard.
I'm going to go Ron Paul.
Okay.
And I am also going to go Lindbergh.
Oh.
And I want you guys to know, I set these questions up to screw, like,
Mess
I had to
with
remember
us,
what
yeah.
we did, and I'm trying to mess you guys up on these.
Get it? Yeah.
You don't really have to try.
That way it's a game, right? It's a contest
Yeah.
at that point.
So I don't get to answer anything, so at least let me make fun of some people as we go. Tony, if you had stuck with your cool name, Louis T.
No.
McFadden, you would have nailed
Oh,
it.
no.
McFadden served as the chairman of the United States House Committee on Banking and Currency from
McFadden said that.
1920 to 1931. And on June 10th, 1932, Louis T. McFadden, he said this in an address to Congress. Listen to these words. He's talking to Congress. Mr. Chairman, we have in this country one of the most corrupt institutions the world has ever known. I refer to the Federal Reserve Board and the Federal Reserve Banks, et cetera, and he goes on to give details of how they operate. Congressional record, easy to find that one. So, you guys starting to, what do we do on this show? We're looking at this massive canvas. We're painting dots every week. We do not expect you to see the whole picture. None of us saw the whole picture when you first look at it. You don't solve a jigsaw puzzle in 10 seconds. It is a process, not an event.
So can I ask a question? Did something horrible happen to him after he said that? Because that's one of those things you say.
Right.
It sounds like
You know,
that's why I thought Limburg. Because
Yeah.
I didn't prepare for it on this show, but the number of these people that died suspicious or early deaths is off the charts. I made some notes on some, but those are the kind of scary things that
How does it compare?
let's wait for people to get a little over the cognitive dissonance hurdle here, and then we'll start hitting them with exactly how evil, as in fruits of the devil, these people are.
How does that number compare to anybody working with the FBI against the Clintons?
Yeah, really. Numbers are rising.
It is not safe to do business with the Clintons.
No.
Or with a lot of people.
Or even
Okay.
get
Or what?
or even get hit up on by Bill. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got you in your
Seriously, I
sights. You're
mean,
in trouble either way.
If
Yeah.
you like serve
That's a
him
lose-lose.
a cheeseburger, you might
How you
Yeah.
doing?
from that.
Yeah, you
It
don't
is
know
not-
what's coming.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
I love that
He's out of
cheeseburger.
town.
Define cheeseburger.
Campaign.
Yeah.
When you said
Define-
sexual relations, I thought you meant
Define the word had.
Okay.
Define me.
Here's the quote. If you aren't careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. Wow. This is either Martin Luther King, Denzel Washington, Malcolm X, or Dave Chappelle.
Whoa. Wow. Great choices.
Yeah, because
Great choices.
we've been asked this one before, and I had to mess.
Yeah, that's great.
Let's say Dave Chappelle.
You say Chappelle. All right.
But you did have the image of a black guy in your head when I said this, right?
Right. It's McFadden.
Well, I usually have that image in my head, but that's another story.
I'm going off script.
I'm going to go with Denzel.
Washington.
Denzel Washington.
Jay?
again, I think I'm gonna have to go Denzel.
Washington.
I wish you had more time. Denzel Washington.
You say Washington as well?
Yeah.
Wow, this is really
that cool
interesting.
for
'cause,
He
Howard?
did do a lot of political
I'm going to say
movies.
I'm
Yeah.
going to have to go with Malcolm X on that
Yeah.
one.
I like Malcolm X for that, too.
So, but let's see. What is it?
It is Malcolm X.
Nice.
Who's that?
You joking?
Malcolm Y's next door neighbor.
Better be
Malcolm
joking.
X, civil rights leader. Look into him.
What movie was he in?
Silenced. Yeah.
Bonus question. Can I insert a bonus question?
Sure.
About Malcolm X?
Sure.
If anyone knows why he changed his name to Malcolm X, I'll give you an extra point.
Didn't they make him change his name?
No.
No.
Short for his.
So that means you
Muslim
don't know.
name?
Was Malcolm W. before?
No. There is a reason.
What is
Does
it?
anyone know? Yes or
It
no?
wasn't-
Anyone?
it
If you either know or
Wasn't
you
it
don't
about?
I
It was
can't
about slave names,
Out,
right?
out with it.
I can't.
It's because he didn't want to use the name that was given to him
Yeah.
by...
See, I nailed that.
Oh,
What do you mean you
Name.
nailed it?
I said it was about not wanting to take a slave name.
Yeah.
Are you sure that's what you said?
That's exactly what I said.
Okay, you get
Yeah.
extra point.
You
then.
can check
Well,
it out
we
on
record
Facebook
this, so
tomorrow.
we'll-
Yeah.
we will
I'm just
double
not
check.
listening.
I don't know. I will
Post game.
definitely double check that.
Oh, come
give
on.
him a
Like
point.
I'm going to cheat when it's recorded.
But yeah,
What do you
because he
think, I'm
didn't
Nixon?
know his ancestry, right? And all these names were given to them by slave owners, essentially. So he just put an X there because he didn't want to use his, slave-given name or whatever. So,
Yeah.
good job, Howard.
Yeah.
I loved that movie. And Denzel starred in it.
I didn't even watch that movie.
The movie was awesome.
yeah, I picked
dude.
Denzel, so I was kind of right.
Yeah, we should get a point for that.
We should get a half.
For what?
Okay, everybody's turning into cat.
No, that's welfare, dude. Forget it. You didn't earn it.
Okay,
So-
we ready?
Yeah.
Moving on.
It's not fair, though.
Here's the quote. In March 1915, the J.P. Morgan interests, the steel, the shipbuilding, and gunpowder interests, and their subsidiary organizations got together 12 men high up in the newspaper world and employed them to select the most influential newspapers in the United States and a sufficient number of them to control generally the policy of the daily press. They found it was only necessary to purchase the control of 25 of the greatest papers. An agreement was reached. The policy of the papers was bought to be paid for by month editors who furnished for each paper their properly supervise and edit information regarding the questions of preparedness, militarism, financial policies, and other things of national and international nature considered vital to the interests of the purchasers, who, another way to say who this J.P. Morgan interest is, these are the international bankers again. So someone is saying something happened in 1915. Now, these words, I will give you a hint. They were spoken on the floor of Congress by a congressman, a U.S. congressman. So the question is, Teresa.
Oh, boy.
Was this Congressman Oscar Callaway in 1917? Charles A. Lindbergh in 1925? John Ashbrook in 1974? Or Larry McDonald in 1977, who would later die in Flight KAL 007? Floor of Congress. Callaway, Lindbergh, Ashbrook, McDonald. In March 1915, the J.P. Morgan interests essentially took over the United States media machine.
That's really hard to decide. I would have to say in the time period, Lindbergh would probably be around the most accurate time period to relate to that. So,
Okay, so you're going Lindbergh.
just because of the time.
I'm going to go McDonald. Sounds kind of like the other name.
Like McFadden?
Yeah, Mick.
Mick.
Who's that?
You don't got any fries?
Who's
by
your
chance?
buddy Nick? Nick's the kind of guy you can throw up in his car.
It's your guess, Jay.
Nick's your
I'm
pal.
definitely going Lindbergh for that one.
Definitely going Lindbergh. Okay.
Howard?
Wow.
I am definitely going McDonald for that one.
McDonald. And I'm going to have to go Lindbergh on that as well.
Okay.
I think I should get a point if everyone gets it wrong, like they did on this one. It was Oscar Callaway in 1917.
My first
My-
thought.
The
Your first-
closer
always.
to time of it. Okay.
Always.
So again,
Well, it
this
did
isn't-
remind me of golf, so I had a thought about picking that one.
Yeah, it was
Callaway
closer to
golf.
Tony and
Callaway.
his scientific method for deciphering
Like we know any of these
clouds.
people.
There
you know
wasn't
what
there
I
a
mean?
show of some woman that picked football winners by the color of their helmets,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she was winning millions, and they
Yeah.
finally go, "What's your system?" And she's like, "I just picked the color that I
Oh,
forgot."
wow.
I like
The
their
odds are probably the
uniforms.
same, you know.
It was the mascot, I think. They were picking the mascot stuff.
So when we're sitting here telling you we have a controlled media, okay, which by the way now how many? Back then they had 25 newspapers, 12 human beings running them, and that was enough to coordinate the media system in the United States. This quote was from 1917. Here we are 100 years later. How many men control our media right now?
5.
5.
5. And you
And
don't
women.
think they're still coordinating like they were back then? So when we get up here and go, guys, this is a controlled media, literally turn off the television and unplug it too. That's a little.
You know what's worse?
Right.
I mean, that's absolutely right. But what's worse is people have that opinion that it's not right unless you hear it on the news.
well,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You know what I mean? It's not like it's just they listen to the news. It's like unless you hear it here, it's not right.
that's why this book exists, because this is 1,800 quotes, roughly 1,200 people. I mean, this is Albert Einstein's presidents, scientists, professors, astronauts. So basically, you are gambling, literally, your salvation on the fact that the son of a fashion designer, Gloria Vanderbilt, her son being Anderson Cooper, who's my, he's my representation
catch-all?
of mainstream media.
You just like his haircut.
You are trusting him, who just reads a sheet of paper and does not do his own research. You're trusting him over hundreds of generals, presidents, newspapermen, astronauts, pilots, military. Think about, where's the logic in it? Think about that, folks. They've always been in control over it. You grew up in a controlled system. It's not like this started when you were in your 20s. It's one reason it's so hard to see. It's generational. We are up against the author of confusion and the deceiver of the whole world, not the deceiver of Oklahoma, the whole world. Anyhow,
So let's do one more. We'll do a score recap and then take a break.
love it. Yeah, we need a break today because
Yeah, it is just stuffy in here, man.
It's
terrible.
very hot.
Okay, maybe here we go. All the perplexities, confusion, and distress in America rise not from defects in their constitution or confederation, not from want of honor or virtue, so much as from downright ignorance of the nature of coin, credit, and circulation. Here's another significant heavy hitter saying all problems in the United States come because people do not understand how our financial system works. And like I've said, I've got friends that are PhDs in economics. They aren't taught this. And if you don't learn, if you aren't taught this in a PhD program, well, it must not be true.
Right.
But we break down, again, go find the Federal Reserve IRS currency episode on YouTube. It's on our genpopmedia.com page. Start about 12 minutes. Everyone should understand the basics. Okay, all the perplexities, confusion, distrust in America rise, not from defects in the Constitution, not from a lack of honor or virtue, so much as from downright ignorance of the nature of coin, credit, and circulation. This was Barry Goldwater, Alexander Hamilton, Abraham Lincoln, or President John Adams. Teresa?
Okay, so the way it's worded, I would say Hamilton, maybe possibly Hamilton's time period.
Okay, well, that's your guess, Hamilton?
That, yeah.
Okay.
I'll go with Hamilton too. Just
Just because the way it's worded.
I was thinking Hamilton.
Oh.
John Adams is the father, right? Which
Yes.
that's John. I'm going to go John Adams.
A
Adams.
little bit before that.
And I'll just go with Goldwater.
Oh.
Now, you'd think it's Alexander Hamilton. He was somewhat
Secretary
of
of the Treasury,
the
right?
architect of our current financial system, which means he probably wouldn't want to expose the problems with it. So, Howard, you were right. It was John Adams.
Nice.
It was a U.S. president. A
Quite
US
possibly one of the most brilliant men of the founding fathers. That guy was IQ off the charts.
Arguably so.
We've lost our intelligence, and we've lost our ability
No,
to
it's
think
programmed out of
critically.
us.
It has been. We're going to, if we have time, we'll get to those quotes.
Oh, we will.
So you were right. Was the second U.S. president. He wrote this on August 25th, 1787, in a letter to our buddy Thomas Jefferson.
Jefferson was in and out the good dirt.
Again, when was the year of that?
1787.
It's fascinating, isn't
The
it?
warnings, they began before our country was formed, and you can follow them. We are uncovering the unfruitful deeds of darkness. You can link these folks, some people call them the Illuminati, the international bankers, the establishment, the elite, the New World Order. You get the picture. You can follow the Knights Templar. You keep following them back. And Jesus called them the synagogue of Satan. That is not a book of myths. That is a book of accuracy, which was the most astounding discovery of my life.
You know what I find kind of funny is, the founding fathers realized this all the way back then. Maybe they got it right on the Second Amendment.
Do you understand why they did not put guns
Oh, I
in
understand.
and
I
have
understand
fun
exactly
hunting?
why. I understand
just-
exactly why.
Just maybe.
It's
Yeah.
the only reason
I think
this
every
country
one of
has-
them is smarter. The dumbest one of them is smarter than the smartest one of us. And I'm not talking in this room.
You think they'd win the quotes game?
Well,
They are the quotes game.
That quote didn't
Yeah.
happen for another 100 years.
yeah.
They'd still get it.
All right, two more, then break.
Okay.
Then I got to
Okay,
put
so-
a towel under my armpits.
Two more.
Yeah.
Okay, are we ready? Here we go. I can assure you, gentlemen, that those who govern must count with new elements. We have to deal not with emperors and cabinets only. We must take into consideration secret societies who can disconcert all measures at the last moment, who have agents everywhere, determined men, encouraging assassinations, and capable of bringing about a massacre at any moment. Now, this was a world leader. This was the head of a nation. It was either Nikita Khrushchev, Andrew Jackson, Napoleon, or English Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli. Basically, this person is saying, kind of like what Lincoln said, I have two great enemies. Okay, there's the Southern Army. They have guns and stuff, but I'm not worried so much about them as I am the international bankers, which, by the way, use secret societies as a feeding system, and we're going to connect that here. So here is the leader of a nation of a, either way you slice it, has been a world power in the last 200 years, saying that they've got to deal with this cabal that will kill you, that will flip your government on you. Think about that.
I would say Napoleon because he was so strong force for so long.
Okay. Napoleon.
Napoleon, he was a little more...
I mean, he's way smarter than people think he was. He's
Yeah.
portrayed to be kind of a moron, and he was anything but that.
He was a Christian, too, which is incredible.
So you got Napoleon,
We got Khrushchev, Andrew Jackson, Napoleon, or Benjamin Disraeli, the leaders of Russia, the U.S., France, or England.
Well, the quote wasn't in French or Soviet, Russian. So I'm going to have to go with English.
Can you say McFadden?
So
Did Tony drink enough coffee today?
or something else.
Hey, I'm
He's
throwing
working
everybody
on it.
off. That's my job.
So what's your-
Yeah.
I got to throw everybody off.
Okay,
That'd be
so-
the opposing
Come on,
force.
people. I'm
What's that
sweating
mean? What's your
like
guess?
Israeli.
What was that guy's name?
Benjamin Disraeli?
Disraeli.
Disraeli.
Okay. Jay.
Jay.
I'm going Jackson because he was a gangster.
He was a gangster.
Howard.
Well, not a bad gangster.
No, but
Give me him again, real quick.
Khrushchev, Jackson, Napoleon.
Napoleon.
And I say Napoleon.
Yeah, Russians weren't a big force back then. I don't know.
Not yet, but the Cold War had been predicted as early as 1850.
Oh,
Yes,
right.
it was.
People. This was Benjamin Disraeli.
Nice.
Oh, it was.
All
Now,
right.
does Tony only get half a point because you said Israeli?
No, he gets a full
Oh,
point.
okay.
I said Disraeli.
You didn't. The second time.
I did.
Yeah.
Huh. I would have never guessed
There's
that.
a couple different versions of this quote, but he said this in 1876. Okay.
I just pick whoever. I have no clue who it is. That's what I did.
We can tell by your score. But the thing is, you should get like 1 out of 4 of these should hit.
Just a bit outside.
Odds are,
First
you know,
pitch.
just a bit.
Okay, here's the quote, and then we're going to take a break. People ask, well, how do they keep all these secrets? How do they do it? Remember Woodrow Wilson's quote last week? Men shudder. I mean, what are they in fear of? Here's the quote. Obey Masonic law. Masons is in secret societies. Obey Masonic law and live. This was Pope Leo the 13th. Secret Society defector Bill Schnoebelen, someone that you guys should get familiar with. 1860s Reverend Charles Grandison, or Vatican insider and father Malachi Martin, who tried to expose the Vatican's links to pedophilia and ritual murders. And then he himself turned up. Poof. He was old, though, but there was
Well.
something strange about that. I want to get into that. So, Pope Leo, Schnoebelen, Reverend Grandison, Malachi Martin.
I would say Malachi because if he really dug in deep, he would probably have been involved with the Masons and the secret society more.
Like the reasoning?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go with Schnoebelen because that's an odd name that I've never heard before.
All right, Jay.
How? I want to say Pope Leo, but he was the one who had the prophecy, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Pope Leo had a vision in
A vision.
1894.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
leaving a cathedral.
I'm gonna go with him.
Leo?
Yep.
Okay. Howard.
I'm going to go Schnoebelen because I love his beard.
Oh.
Schnoebelen, and that is also my guess. Schnoebelen.
Well, this was Reverend Charles Grandison C.G. Finney. He was an American minister and author. And was he a dingbat? No. He went to Yale, all right? The leader in the Second Great Awakening in the United States. He's been called the father of modern revivalism. He says the teachings of Freemasonry upon this subject are summarily this: obey Masonic law, and you live.
The key is the Yale because the Yale is the skull and bones, and of course that came from Scotland to there, and so yeah, if I'd have known he was from Yale, I probably would have picked him then. Yeah.
Yale, look, not everyone that goes to Yale is down with
now,
these
not
evil
anymore,
folks, but
right? Yeah.
they send their children there. There's a reason the CIA, I would suspect, recruits more out of Yale than any other university in the United States.
I think I read that actually.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
they
'Cause I just
recruit
made
out of
that
Yale
up.
was a big. No. I think
Did the
No, but
author have a really
it
cool
actually
name?
is true. Yeah,
I
Louis
just
T.
made that up.
McFadden said it. All right, let's take a break. We're going to start to come in with some quotes about how they manipulate so many people at the same time.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. I want to get a quick recap from DiBiase, if I can, before we move on.
So,
Finish up the quotes game.
currently, Teresa 3.5, Tony with 2, Jay has 3, and Howard and I are tied at 6.
Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
We need a tiebreaker, Dave.
I really want you to have that
I
stuff.
need a
so.
painting to have.
I
But
really,
I'm not
I really
gonna,
want that
I'm
stuff.
not going to throw the match, though, so
Okay.
I will not do that.
I know I had
But
points.
I might just give it to you anyway. So
Okay.
all right.
I'm getting cheated. I know I had more than 2 points.
All right, so we learning something here. We're starting to paint this picture that this amoeba-like hidden shadow government, deep state, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of overlapping circles, but there is a concentration in military power. The vast majority of their power comes from banking. Secret societies are used to recruit many of the players. So, shall we continue? We're trying to paint
Yes.
a picture here for you that goes back long before anyone listening was born.
I'm getting the impression, though, you're making it sound like the banking is bad.
Banking is well
Look,
when it's dishonest, yeah.
Banking, cash by itself, what we've allowed it to become is a problem. And it's the love of money, not the money. Money's not the root of all evil. The love of money.
Yeah, and if you want to get a modern perspective on it, Ron Paul came up a couple times. If you go and just search some of his interviews, speeches, addressing the Federal Reserve directly, the Treasury Department, listen to what that guy says. And they always make him out to be a doddering old fool. But Ron Paul has been right all along.
Oh, yeah.
He gets it. When he said that government should not be able to do anything with money that you and I can't do with money. He's absolutely right. But it's too. You're not an economist. You can possibly understand what.
Oh, they're just playing us. And they're laughing, literally laughing. They literally go to parties where they laugh at how dumb the sheep are. That makes me want to crash that party. M16. Okay.
We
let's,
are. You know,
in our own way, yes.
In
we
our
are
own way,
raging
our
against
nonviolent,
the
peaceful
machine.
way.
Okay, here's the quote.
I meant we were
Remember,
dumb.
secrets of secret societies, keeping people quiet. This comes out of chapter 20, and it is a chapter on secret societies. Here's the quote. Now, this is someone that was a former member of a secret society. And understand this, folks. The vast, vast majority of people in Masonic temples that are part of those organizations, they're good people. They went in for good reasons. They wanted to make some business contacts. They start moving up the degrees. And with each degree, they learn a new secret. And by the time you get into those upper numbers, 28, 29, 30, you now know. Now your whole life is woven around your social contacts, your business, your income, your standing in society. You're probably well known or successful at this point because it is about who you know. By the time they figure out what it is they had pledged this oath to or who, it's too late. A lot of them do try to get out at that point. The ones that survive claim the protection of Jesus Christ. I'm just going to throw that out there. But here's the quote. So understand, this is coming from a guy that started for a good reason, but he saw something. The quote is, "I have been convinced that we, as an order, have come under the power of some very evil occult order," as in another order, "profoundly versed in science," like this other order is profoundly versed in science, both occult and otherwise, "though not infallible, their methods being black magic," that is to say, electromagnetic power, hypnotism, and powerful suggestion. "We are convinced that the order is being controlled by some sun order, sun god, after the nature of the Illuminati, if not by that sun order itself." He goes on to say some other things, but this is a man talking about how the fact that the orders, the secret society, the order, there's so many different orders, are contaminated by something very evil that practices black magic and other things that are associated that the Bible warned us about that are literally demonic. So, this was either Bill Schnoebline. This one's 50-50. This was either Bill Schnoebline or Charles William Ferdinand. Obviously, both of these guys were at one point in a secret society. Teresa.
I would say Birdman.
Ferdinand.
Snowblind.
Yeah.
Snowblind. Jay.
Snowblind.
Howard.
Snowblind.
Really? I have not heard
And
anything about Snowblind
I think I will
before.
also go with Snowblind.
Really?
Bleen, whatever. Yeah, Snowblind. Yep.
All right, you guys change your answer if you realize that this quote was in writing in 1794.
It wouldn't change mine, no, because
This was said by Charles William Ferdinand. He was the Duke of Brunswick, Holy Roman Prussian German statesman. This was a very famous man in his day.
all right.
Okay, so so this thing now we're seeing it now all throughout history. So as long ago as 200 plus years, something is contaminated. Okay, next quote. If we understand the mechanisms and motives of the group mind, it is now possible to control and regiment the masses according to our will without them knowing it. This was either Aldous Huxley, who wrote whatever, famous writer. Joseph Goebbels, propaganda minister in Germany. Dr. Joseph Delgado, a prominent researcher in mind control. Or Edward Bernays, the father of public relations. What do we got, T?
I would say the person that studied the mind control would probably be
Dr. Jose Delgado?
would be more or less quoting something like that.
Okay.
Delgado, tell me.
I'll take the first one.
Which is
Aldous Huxley.
Huxley. Jay.
I will go Delgado.
Delgado. And Howard.
Huxley.
Huxley. And I'll say Goebbels. I'll just mix it up.
This was out of page 47 of Bernays' book Propaganda, which came out in 1928.
Should've known that.
In 1928, they already had a way to control the masses without them knowing about it. Very interesting. All right, ready to move on?
Ready.
Ready.
Okay. The quote is, the word establishment is a general term for the power elite in international finance, business, the professions, and government, largely from the Northeast, who wield most of the power regardless of who is in the White House. Most people are unaware of the existence of this legitimate mafia. Yet the power of the establishment, quotes, makes itself felt from the professor who seeks a foundation grant to the candidate for a cabinet post or a State Department job. It affects the nation's policy in almost every area. Now, this is someone saying that this group, which had the name the establishment, popular name in the 60s, early 70s, is more powerful than the White House. So, this was either the granddaughter of Teddy Roosevelt, the granddaughter of Dwight Eisenhower, the daughter of Richard Nixon, or the son of JFK. Teresa.
Wow. All right, I'll go with the son of JFK because he really did a lot of research before he had his accident.
Anthony.
So the first two, who were the presidents?
Granddaughter of Teddy Roosevelt. He was the first Roosevelt. Granddaughter of Dwight Eisenhower. The daughter of Richard Nixon, or the son of John F. Kennedy.
I'm going to go with Eisenhower.
Eisenhower.
I'm going to go with Roosevelt's granddaughter.
Roosevelt.
You know, I really don't want to side with Tony because it makes me think I'm immediately wrong. But I'm going to go with the granddaughter of Eisenhower.
Eisenhower?
So too. Yeah.
This sounds like Heisenberg, and I liked Breaking Bad. How's that, Tony? Like that?
I'm going to go with the granddaughter of Roosevelt.
Oh, you're
As
all
well.
doing it. Okay.
Here's the backstory in the book, which will contain your answer. In December 1961, nationally syndicated columnist Edith Kermit Roosevelt,
Yeah.
the granddaughter of President Theodore Roosevelt, gave her readers as sound a definition of this powerful clique as can be found anywhere. Her description made sense 55 years ago, and it is still on target today. The establishment. Okay.
There you go.
Huh. Maybe she's a crazy conspiracy theorist, or maybe
Or
she
maybe.
knows the President of the United States and he told her
Yeah.
something over the dinner table.
That could be.
Next quote. For certain individuals whose condemnation was written about long ago have secretly slipped in among you. They are ungodly people who pervert the grace of our God into a license for immorality and deny Jesus Christ, our only sovereign and Lord. This was either Pope Leo XIII, Charles William Ferdinand, who gave us a peek behind the curtain of secret orders. This was written in the book of Jude, or this was said by Pastor Dave Wilkerson in the, what is that church in Manhattan?
Yeah.
Something Times Church.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Say the quote one more time.
For certain individuals whose condemnation was written about long ago have secretly slipped in among you. They are ungodly people who pervert the grace of our God into a license for immorality and deny Jesus Christ, our only sovereign and Lord. Pope Leo XIII, Charles William Ferdinand, Book of Jude, Dave Wilkerson.
Teresa.
It's either Ferdinand or Jude. I'm gonna
Same dilemma I'm having.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Jude would have
Okay.
been first, and then maybe Ferdinand.
You only get
would
one
have
guess, so
Caught it out. Yeah.
She's
So,
had one.
there's no
Yeah.
sub guess.
yeah.
Wilkerson.
Wilkerson. Jay.
I was named after him, so I'm going to say Book of Jude.
There you go, buddy. Howard.
You know, I always hate myself when I go against the Bible, so I'm going to go Book of Jude,
And I'm also going Book of Jude.
which makes me feel better. I actually wanted to go after you on that one.
Yeah, that's my guess.
This is in the Book of Jude
Knew it.
1,
Yeah, I knew it too.
4.
I read that yesterday.
What's interesting is that this is written in the days after Jesus. So in that day, these people, they were already from long ago.
Mm-hmm.
You guys starting to see how this links back to
Keeps
Babylon? This is, you're getting glimpses of a spiritual war that has been raging for thousands of years. And you won't know the severity of the outcome of that war until you take your last breath here. And if you think there's nothing after death, are you taking a real big risk? And people look into more, they spend more time looking into a vacation they're going to take for a week. This is a permanent residence. You might want to look into it. Okay. We ready to move on?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Edward Rothschild, and here's a name you will all have heard a lot and will hear often. At least the figurehead, the known head of, let's call them the Illuminati, the Rothschild family. They're the cornerstone. How things work totally inside their circles is still somewhat of a mystery. They are secretive. Anyhow, Edward Rothschild V in Paris and the 300 Judeo-Mongols who are composing the world government, or the hidden hand, made hundreds of billions out of this First World War. Of course, not counting their lust of murder, they are willing to stage a second world war. In fact, they are preparing it against rich America. Was this Edward Bernays, the I believe he was a German immigrant. I could be mistaken, but father of public relations. This was a Russian count, Count Arthur Cherep Spiridovich, military general. This was Oscar Calloway speaking to Congress, or this was Benito Mussolini, who would be in charge of Italy during World War II, the one forecasted. Teresa.
I would say Mussolini because there's a lot written about him in the past involving himself with that. So
Mussolini?
Yep.
I'll go with the Russian.
The
Count.
Russian. Count.
Count Chocula.
Count
Okay.
Chocula.
I'm gonna go Mussolini as well.
I have no idea. What do you think, Howard?
Mussolini was famous for.
I'm gonna go Mussolini. She's talking
Are ya?
about yeah.
Run the choices one more time.
Bernays, Spiridovich, Mussolini, Oscar Calloway.
Wow. Yeah, Mussolini. I don't know, because I don't know.
Well, this was a Russian count.
Oh,
Oh,
look
it
at
was
you.
the
Ooh,
Russian.
goose egg.
General. This was a major general,
Wow.
Count Arthur Cherep Spiridovich.
Wow. Amazing.
He was a
Spiridovich.
military officer.
Wonder where he got his information from.
He lived from 1858 to 1926. So, here is a high-ranking military officer in the Russian military, just after World War I. And he's talking about roughly 300 Judeo-Mongols. Now, this quote was from 1926. This is before World War I, after World War I, but before World War II started. Now, understand, terminology changes. So when he's talking about 300 Judeo-Mongols, words that we might have for them today are the Illuminati. They are the Zionists. Jesus called them the synagogue of Satan, as in they pretend to be Jews outwardly, but inwardly they praise Lucifer. This guy wrote about it in 1926 in a book called The Hidden Hand, The Unrevealed in History. Originally printed in 1926. Any guesses on how long this count lived from the time his book was published until his death?
I'm going to say not too long.
Yeah, maybe 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
2 months.
He was, quote-unquote, suicided later that year.
Ah,
Again,
Wow.
the MO doesn't change.
no.
What do they say about people who don't read history?
Yes, doomed to repeat it.
Okay.
It is interesting, 1926, he was already alluding to the staged World War II. That's, you can't ignore this stuff. You just can't ignore it.
We're going to get to some predictions of all wars, but long before they happen. History has, in a sense, been pre-written. God certainly wrote it. If you read the last page, if you believe in him, you're going to be on the winning side. If you don't think he's there, not good.
not good.
Okay, here's the quote. As a student of patents, I asked for and received all the intercept information relating to strategic patents held by both our enemies and our own big corporations. And I found the same money was often operative on both sides in World War II. So someone is saying he worked in a patent office and he realized, holy cow, the people that have money are financing both sides of World War II. Huh. This was either Bertrand Russell, Albert Einstein, R. Buckminster Fuller, or Kenneth Goff.
Can we get the quote again, please?
As a student of... Oh, shucks. As a student of patents, where the heck am I? Basically, as a student of patents... I can't even find it again. I just clicked the wrong button.
I know the Bush family was affiliated with some of that in the past, and that came out.
The quote is, as a student of patents, I asked for and received all the intercept information relating to strategic patents held by both our enemies and our own big corporations, and I found the same money was often operative on both sides of World War II.
Yep.
Bertrand Russell, Albert Einstein, R. Buckminster Fuller, or Kenneth Goff. And if you don't know who someone is, just ask.
I'm going to say Fuller.
Fuller.
Yeah. That was really bad. Yes, there was German banks here in the U.S. Fully functional.
I was much
I'm
deeper.
gonna go number
even.
3.
Yeah.
What's your guess?
Number 3. The odd name.
Okay.
Buckminster Fuller.
Buck. Yeah.
So Fuller,
Buck Futter.
BF, Jay.
I'm gonna go Einstein just because he worked in a patent office. It's the only.
Ooh, Jay.
He's going deep. All right.
Mr. Howard.
I'm going to go Bertrand.
Bertrand. And it's maybe a trick question, but I will also say Einstein.
For all of you that guessed Einstein because he worked in a patent office,
We got fooled.
you're right that he worked in a patent office. But this was a Harvard-educated man, R. Buckminster Fuller, president of Mensa, head of mechanical engineering of the USA Board of Economics Warfare, in the circles of presidents, yada, 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 yada. He made this quote in 1945. All right.
That was baked in to fool me.
It was.
Yeah, it
Next
was.
quote. And these are related, by the way. If you notice, the quote from before is related to the one after. We're painting the picture here. These guys play us. They play us against each other. Maybe they're the ones that really create racism, and it really doesn't exist. Who
Isn't that
knows?
true?
Here's the quote. Their conspiracy to destroy Germany dates back to the year 1776, when on the first day of May in Munich, Germany, an organization called the Illuminati was launched by a group of atheists and free thinkers. The founder and leader of this organization was Adam Weishaupt. Weishaupt was a cunning human devil, literal son of Satan, whose dream in life was to destroy Germany and to place the whole world under one government headed by his God-hating Illuminati. Choices are the same as before. Bertrand Russell, Albert Einstein, R. Buckminster Fuller, or Kenneth Goff. I'll even give you the year the quote was made as a hint. 1954.
I'm going to go with Goth.
Who is
Kenneth Goff. He was an activist. He was involved in brainwashing. He was a reformed Christian. He originally was a communist and then became an anti-communist crusader, writer, lecturer. Basically, he was a conspiracy theorist before they had the term.
So I'll pick him.
Goth. Jay.
I'm gonna go Goff as well.
Howard.
I'm going to go Russell again.
Bertrand.
Little known fact, it's what they call Goth
And-
without the L.
I'll say Goth. Goth.
Goth.
All right. If I kill all these golfers, knock me up and throw away the key, it was Goff.
All right.
Here's the back quote, 401 book. Conspiracy theorist ahead of his time. Goff suggests other things, like Hitler was a communist agent and may have survived the fall of Berlin. Now, of course, that's crazy to think he survived, but go look on FBI, Vault, or what is it? Vault.fbi.gov. For some reason, there are FBI reports through the 1950s and early 1960s. We had agents following someone they believed to be Adolf Hitler in South America. Maybe they were just trying to get a long vacation. Goff was also a big opponent of fluoridation in water, which had just started. Thank you. What's the city in?
Grand Rapids.
Thank you.
Yep.
Which, if you study fluoridation, it's one of the many reasons I think we're getting dumber as a species, because that stuff, it kills your IQ, it makes you lethargic.
And people still have janky teeth, which I never, you know what I mean?
It only has topical.
Yeah, you don't ingest it. It doesn't help your teeth. Yeah.
Janky.
He's one of those guys that died young. He died at the age of 57. He spoke out a lot.
That I didn't know.
All right, are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Here's the quote. An elite has thus emerged, in control of gigantic financial resources, operating outside of our democratic processes, which is willing and able to shape the future of this nation and of mankind in the image of its own value concepts. This was either Rand Paul, Ron Paul, Renee Wormser, the historian, or Peter Grace of the Grace Commission. And Wormser, he's probably the least famous there. He was general counsel to the 83rd Congressional Investigation of Philanthropies and tax havens, things of that nature.
It's definitely something that was said recently because the way it's worded. So I'm going to say Rand Paul.
I'll pick Ron then.
Ron.
The Pauls.
Yeah.
Jay.
Definitely don't think it's Renee Zellweger, so I'll go Ron Paul.
Who the F is
Yeah.
Renee Zell?
Is she Canadian too?
Chappelle Show.
So you Ron Paul?
Yeah.
Ron Paul.
I'm going Rand.
You're going Rand.
Ann?
Oh boy. All right, Ron Paul.
Ron Paul's your favorite, isn't he?
Sort of.
You guys surprised that this quote comes from 1958?
Nothing
Wow.
surprises me.
I
Rene
am.
Albert Wormser, in his book Foundations, Their Power and Influence.
Ron
He
Paul said it
basically
first,
saw this criminal network firsthand, doing legal work for Congress. Yet another credible person trying to tell you something. Next quote. Yes, it is treason. You cannot translate it any other way. Now, let me set something up here, because this is vague. So here's some background. This quote was made by either a current, former, or future president. The comment was in regard to a business selling military resources to an enemy during armed conflict, very much like the R. Buckminster Fuller quote, where like, these guys are working both sides of the war here, people. So whoever said this would be a president, or was, or would be.
So
Someday.
He's talking about military suppliers.
So when asked did he consider it treasonous that a business based in the United States would be selling resources to our enemies, the Axis powers, and selling it to our own.
Like
Did
the
he-
oil company selling to the
Yes.
Germans.
Recent discussions.
So
yes.
and this person said, yes, it is treason. You cannot translate it any other way. So, was this Harry S. Truman, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or Richard Nixon?
I'm going to say the most recent, so I'll say Nixon.
All right, then I'll go with Truman.
Yeah.
I'll go FDR.
Hate the fact that Tony said Truman. I'm going Truman.
Oh.
And that was also going to be my guess. Truman.
Okay.
You guys are suckers.
Here's the backstory, which contains the answer. After Attorney General Thurman Arnold testified before then Senator Harry S. Truman's committee investigating the war program, it became public knowledge that the Rockefeller-owned Standard Oil Company, keep that name in mind, Rockefeller, they were on both sides of lots of things. The Rockefeller-owned Standard Oil Company actively participated to help the Nazi war machine to the detriment of the American people. In short, Thurman, who's questioning Harry S. Truman, in short, Thurman produced a series of documents showing how Standard Oil cut deals with Nazi Germany, giving them ample quantities of synthetic rubber, which were very important in aircraft manufacturing, while they starved the U.S. of this vital war commodity. It's unbelievable. Unbelievably, Standard Oil was let off the hook with a $50,000 fine.
Wow, that was the punishment for
That
that.
was the punishment.
Unbelievable.
Okay, so we're starting to link some names up. How
So
they
the
operate
answer
through their
was
businesses.
Truman, right?
Harry S.
Oh,
Truman.
okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, and just for the sake of running, we got about 8 minutes left.
8
Really?
minutes.
Keep us on point because we're going to close it out a little early today.
How far in the lead am I?
Depending on who you're competing against.
Hopefully he's only competing against Tony.
Actually, not doing half bad.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to do a rundown so where we're at with the
Yeah,
score
why don't
right
we
now?
get a recap?
Okay.
Okay, sure.
All right. So Teresa 7.5, Tony was 6, Jay was 6, Howard with 8, and I have 10.
Wow.
Howard's going to need to
Never
set the
going to
big
win.
winners.
Never going to win.
All right, let's try and
You
get
might
through-
still win.
Let's try and get through a bunch of these.
I have a feeling you're still going to win.
Here's the quote.
Lightning round.
It is ironic that while American businessmen are trading hundreds of millions of dollars for plants and equipment to the Soviet Union, the administration is asking for an increased defense budget to meet the Soviet military threat, a threat which, in part, is being built with American technology. So do you understand the quote? This is someone, and I'll say this was spoken of in Congress. This is a congressman saying that now we're in the Cold War here. We're even battling Korea. We're battling Vietnam. We are asking for money for the American people for war dollars to fight this Cold War, to fight the actual battles that are going on in Southeast Asia. And this congressman he's all up in arms because the money powers are helping our enemies stay nice and balanced with us. We've already heard the 4 choices. They are Oscar Callaway, Charles Lindbergh, John Ashbrook, or Larry McDonald.
I'm going to go with Ashbrook.
Tony?
I was going to go with Ashbrook, but McDonald's.
There you go. He likes that name.
I'm hungry.
Big on the...
I'm going to go Lindbrook.
Burger
Lindbergh.
cheese.
Ashbrook.
And you say Ashbrook. And I say McDonald.
This was in 1974. John Ashbrook. He served 21
Nice.
years in the U.S. House of Representatives. He spoke out against bankers financing the enemy. In this case, it was the Soviets. Now, remember, they've been doing the same. We've documented it in World War I, in World War II. Now we're into the Cold War. This enemy, that does not have national borders. So you can't look at it like, oh, well, it's the North Koreans, or it's the Chinese, or it's the Russians. You have to understand, their number one organizing principle is they worship the fallen angel, Satan. They do not have national borders. Why? Because they plan on turning the whole world into a one-world government, which was a warning and prediction given many times throughout the Bible, and certainly by Jesus Christ, of roughly when it would happen and begin, and it would kick off in the last days, and the last days would begin sometime after this crazy country called Israel would be regathered. All coincidence, I'm sure.
The 80s called. They want their foreign policy back.
Okay, what you have to guess. Let me give you the quote. There are folks out there who have heard of this quote-unquote New World Order regime. It's very real, and there's a real timetable to the New World Order. I was paid $50,000 a mission to ensure that this timetable was kept in place. I know a lot of people say, oh, another conspiracy. I'm with you. I don't believe most of the conspiracy items that are out there in the media today, but I know that this is true. I know it because I've killed people to make sure it comes to pass.
Hillary.
Was this a former... You got it. Give him 2 points.
All right, yeah. That's
Was this a first lady? Was this a former CIA agent, a former Mossad agent, a former FBI agent, or a defector out of an Illuminati family?
Mossad.
Mossad.
Oh, man. I would say Illuminati family, but that's probably not right. So I'm going to have to say... No, I'll just go with
Illuminati.
Yeah.
Jay?
See if Howard picks that one.
All of the above, is that... No, I'll go FBI.
FBI.
Mossad.
And I'm going to say CIA.
All of the above.
CIA is... I'm sure they all could answer something like that.
Probably, yeah.
In this case, this was Dois He goes by Chip Tatum, former CIA agent. He finally flipped and spilled the beans. And then I think he faked his own death because he's not dead, but a lot of people thought he was dead.
They made him look crazy, too.
Well, they will always make
Yeah.
him look crazy. But
Yeah.
who's recruiting these guys if they're all crazy? They're coming out of our intelligence agencies. We've talked about Ted Gunderson. And the one that really shifted it for him, if you guys are old enough to remember, and I want to say it was the election in 1992 where we had Clinton, Ross Perot, and
Bush.
Oh, that was
Bush.
crazy election.
Now,
there.
you guys remember how Ross Perot in the middle of that campaign suddenly dropped out and said they're threatening my family,
Yeah.
and then he got back into the campaign later, probably because after a few days he got the courage back to go, I'm not going to let these guys push me around. Sounds like a crazy story, right? Ross Perot said it, the head of a Fortune 500 company, so I don't think he's
Nope.
just some dum-dum. And here's a CIA guy that years later confirmed the other side of it because it was Chip Tatum's task to make Ross Perot stop running for
Yeah.
president. He was getting too many votes.
Well, and his charts
And-
were just too true.
Yes.
He was exposing some stuff.
I drove 3 hours to vote for Ross Perot.
I liked Ross.
I like Ross,
So I
too.
was still
Yeah.
registered up at school, and I had to go up there to vote. So actually, it was 4 hours. It's 2 hours there and 2 back.
Okay,
That's
we ready?
commitment right
Did you
there.
stop,
Let's try and
did you
squeeze
stop
in-
at McDonald's?
Oh, you know it.
McDonald, yeah.
I used to have to drive around.
Maximum
with
2
nuggets.
more. But we got to be quick.
Okay.
Here's the quote. The invisible money power is working to control and enslave mankind. Another enslavement quote. The invisible money power is working to control and enslave mankind. It financed communism, fascism, Marxism, Zionism, socialism. All of these are directed to making the United States a member of a world government. This was A.K. Chesterton, British politician. Russell McGuire, the founder of the Tommy Machine Gun Company. Gore Vidal, a TV news commentator in the 60s, 70s. Or Noam Chomsky, a purported thought leader.
English Chesterfield.
You're going with Chesterton?
Chesterton, yeah.
Chesterton?
I think I'm going to go with Noam Chomsky.
Gnome?
I was going Chomsky as well.
Chomsky.
Run the choices one more time.
Chesterton, McGuire, Vidal, Chomsky.
Okay, Noam Chomsky is my guess.
It was Russell McGuire, the
I figured, because
Thompson Submachine Gun Company. He was the CEO of.
I should have known better. Chomsky's
Wealthy,
a
powerful man. He bought the American Mercury magazine from H.L. Mencken in 1952, which spawned shows like Meet the Press, the American Mercury, which today still influence us. 1957, a man of influence, understanding that this invisible money power wants to enslave us. The same warning Jesus Christ gave us. Okay, last one, then I think we'll take the pressure off Howard. Here it is. At times, capitalism and communism would appear to be in conflict. But this writer is confident that their interests are in common and will eventually merge for one world control. Chomsky, Gore Vidal, A.K. Chesterton, or Albert Einstein?
I would say Einstein.
Chomsky.
It better be Chomsky.
Vidal.
what is it?
Vidal.
Vidal. Ah, boy. All right, well, I'll say Vidal.
That's a smart money.
Ready for the answer?
I'm ready.
It was A.K. Chesterton. He was a British politician, and like so many of them, leaves his first calling, starts a newspaper to help expose this. That was written in 1953. Do we want to do a nine? Are we done? Do we want to do one more?
One more.
Or are we?
Got to be quick. Got to be quick, and then the sign off has to be short.
All right, for my 9/11 friends. You're going to have to fill in the blank. I blank hereby swear under oath that I first learned of the 9/11 conspiracy from my CIA handler, Dr. Richard Phew, in mid-April 2001. 6 months before 9/11. So, was this Sibel Edmonds, Susan Lindauer, Ray McGovern, or Kevin Shipp?
Kevin.
All right, I'll go with Kevin Shipp. I like
Yeah.
Could you give the choices again?
Sibel Edmonds, Susan Lindauer, Ray McGovern, Kevin Shipp.
Susan Lindauer.
I'm going Lindauer.
I am also going Lindauer.
The correct answer on the last question, it is Susan Lindauer.
Oh.
Swearing under oath. She's swearing with her hand on a Bible that she knew about. Why would you do that if it wasn't true? Do you think her life got better? I mean, she was thrown in prison for a year for no reason. Do you think maybe she's telling the truth, or do you still trust Anderson Cooper? Think about this, folks.
I never trusted Anderson Cooper in the first place.
Are you homophobic?
before I
Yeah,
met
that
you.
was.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you're a
Wow, take it
misogynistic
easy.
homophobe.
I am.
Are we going to get off air in time for us to
Yes.
We're gonna
stop
get
sweating?
we're gonna get off air in time to do something. That's for sure. So this has been Down the Rabbit Hole. We will see you next week.